Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. I'm Alex, and was trying to get through that as fast as possible.
I'm Christian, aka Pseudo-Voodoo45. Jeez.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
Awesome. Welcome back, gents. Hey, we are 2 weeks down.
Hey,
12 to go. So
there
we go.
We'll get there.
Keeping track for everybody. We are slowly but surely getting there. But we are here with another episode, and today we were able to pick back up our gaming book club, which we'll talk about later today. So that's exciting. So I'm glad we keep that going. But before we do that, Preston, of course, what is over there in Preston's comment corner?
Comic Corner, proudly sponsored by the Comic Headquarters. This episode, if you're looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order. Favorite comic I read this past week from them? Sandman. They got Wesley Dodd's Sandman. It's very good. Like old classic noir, a little bit of detective, and some dude who wears a gas mask and uses a gas gun. It's pretty cool. He was in some of the previous Sandman series, and they got his own little solo run, which is incredible. It's really good.
Yeah. And if you're not sure what to read, if you head over to their Instagram, then Jake will tell you each week like what the most popular titles were going out that week. So
yeah, sure.
Giving good recommendations.
Yeah. Definitely check them out. Other than that, no comments. Ain't got nothing. I will say that I do apologize, everyone, for having the show come out a day late, 2 days late. No, a day late, just a day. And yeah, I will be trying to do my best, but we had a lot of audio foibles. But I think I got most of them taken care of. There's some echo in there still, but can't help it when we talk over each other. But other than that, I muted Alex every time that he thought he was muting himself. And we did good. So low, because you can hear the sound of you muting yourself, and you see it on the Discord, but you can just hear everything still in the background.
Everything was tough last week because my microphone was not here. It was indisposed, doing its own thing in Chicago without me. But it's back this week, so we are good to go, and we'll not have those problems again.
We'll be fine.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, who wants to start with their weeks?
I can go.
Go for it.
Sure.
Okay. So, still been playing Rogue Trader. Nothing new to report there. Still the same game. I have dabbled. I've still been hopping in 14. Just getting all the other classes up to where I want them to be before. Just trying to do Dawn Trail prep, essentially.
Sure.
Just getting everything
Getting
nice
ready.
and tidied away. I just started Diablo 4 Season 3.
Oh. You should highlight your boy. I'm down to play it.
I told you I was playing Season 2. I've been talking about it.
I've been waiting for you to say you're playing it.
I came on this very show and said that I was playing like 3 or 4
Season
times.
2. You skipped Season 3. I
You
didn't think
did.
you
You
played
definitely said Season 2.
No,
You never said Season 3
because Season 3 just started today.
Oh, I thought you said
Like-
you're doing Season 4 today. I'm sorry.
No. Season 3 started
Okay,
today.
well, I'll pop it on there and get it ready for you, boo.
Yeah, look, and again,
I like playing a co-op game.
Yeah, just so we're clear, this is not a ring. This is
No.
they have fixed it to a degree. Like there is things that they're still working, but a lot of quality of life stuff hit with Season 2. Even more hit today. It is in a better state. It still does not fix a lot of the problems with the game.
Sure.
Like as in like the fundamental issues, like the story being kind of meh. But from a purely gameplay perspective, playing the game, running through, doing stuff, I enjoy it. This is not an endorsement of that game. It is not an endorsement of anything surrounding any of it. It is purely my brain and how I'm like, I like Diablo, so I'm going to play it. And
You can pet your spider companion. That's gotta be big. You can.
There's
pet
a
your
new
spider.
there's a companion that hangs out with you this season, and you can get. I haven't touched really any of that. I just have a character made and ran around for a second.
Is that game mouse only, or do you need keyboard?
Both. You can play however you'd like. There's no.
You probably map
Right,
your
I think I could-
15 button thing and be fine.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I could definitely do mouse.
You
only.
absolutely could.
There
Yep.
you go.
Okay, same.
Yep. They have support for everything. They have the controller support if you'd like to use controller. They have mouse and keyboard support. So if you wanted to use WASD and
Nope.
do that, not saying you do. I'm letting people know you can use that, and then you can also just use full solo mouse. There's no, it doesn't matter. Again, it's I want to play it just because I want to see where it goes, and I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't end up pissing me off later. But so far, they've made genuine improvements from season 2. That's why I skipped season 1. I didn't play it because there was no point. A lot of quality of life stuff hit season 2, and I was testing it out. I came on here and said, hey, I'm having a okay time with it. It seems good. Season 3 introduced even more, and so far they seem to be continuing that trend. Whether that trend continues, we will see. Let's see, I'm thinking those 3. I preloaded Infinite Wealth because that comes out in 2 days, so I'm very excited about that. I know. I'm sorry.
That's fun.
To be fair, I have made many a suggestion of mouse only games for you to be able to play and have.
No,
a good
it's
time
not. It's
with.
not. It's not that because I've been busy at work and stuff. But like the games that I'm really looking forward to, like that being one of them, dude. For the games that I'm really looking forward to, I'm gonna be so far behind on the train this year. I mean, we're talking like possibly not being able to play till April. It's January.
Okay. I mean, honestly, like, it's
Yeah,
not-
good
the
job.
games are-
Good job. You're doing
I'm
better.
getting
Nice,
there.
you
Hold
nailed
on,
it.
hold on. First of all, rude. Just unbelievably rude. Second, what I'm saying is, like, those games aren't going anywhere. Like, it's honestly, the real thing that you have to do is, and I know that this part is hard for you, is because you always look for what the streets are talking about when it comes to.
I gotta avoid spoilers.
You just have to
For
not
4
look up
months.
anything. Yeah, I mean
That's gonna be in.
I'll tell a story. I'll out myself. So today I went dark on Infinite Wealth. I knew nothing. I didn't want to know anything. I have officially ruined that for myself 2 days before release because there was an article as I was scrolling through that was like RGG locks New Game Plus behind deluxe edition of Infinite Wealth, and I was like, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that, so I was gonna go click on the article. As soon as I click on the article, now this is not technically a spoiler because I guess it's been in all the trailers, but again, I haven't seen them, so it's a spoiler to me. So I'm scrolling through, reading through the article, and they just casually drop like a major detail about a character, and I was like, now again, it was in every single trailer, including like the extended launch trailer that they showed, like when they first, or the announcement trailer when they sent it off. So it is extremely common knowledge to anybody who has seen a single trailer. That being said, because I was not one of those people, I was scrolling through, saw it, and I was like, damn, like, what? Like, I'm blown away at the certain thing. And so it just goes to show nothing is
Did you find
safe.
out about New Game Plus?
Yeah, I mean, yes, and they are. It's locked behind. I don't know if they'll spin it out and let you buy it separately. Apparently, Sega has done this before. That doesn't make it okay. It's a really weird decision. I think it's stupid, but
Can
that
we
being
just
said,
for a second, can we just talk about how shitty these companies and capitalism are? Like, I don't know if you guys have run into this, but I've run into something similar on iPhone. So I have the iPhone 15 Pro, whatever, and it has a dynamic island up top, right? So like you can use that for things.
yeah.
Well, companies have figured out that offer freemium apps that they can lock their best features for that dynamic island behind the paywall. So like I use a cooking app and they're like, hey, you can use it for your recipes and you can store stuff and whatever, no big deal. But if you want the ability to like follow the recipe through the dynamic island and be able to say like next, and it moves, so like you can do it while cooking without touching your screen and make it dirty, they're like, yeah, paywall. Or like I ran into another one, they're like, yeah, you want to be able to see like the live updates for your travel, for like your flight information up there, paywall, buy the premium. It's like disgusting.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this, right? Like, oh, you want to play New Game Plus at first, paywall.
Yeah, and so
right?
it's really weird because I'm like, that you're like, it's like a whole mode, like that's like I don't know, yeah, I think it's stupid. I'm not a fan of it, and it's genuinely a shame. That being said, I don't think that I've ever played New Game Plus on any Yakuza game because they're like minimum like 90 hours, and so it's like when I play it, I'm in for a long break before I ever decide to look at that game again. And as a matter of fact, in 1 through 7 or 0 through, I've never ever went back and played them again ever. That's not an excuse. I'm just saying for me personally,
It's a long game.
like I'm like it doesn't affect me. That being said, it's a shitty business practice. It's garbage, and I also am mad that even in finding this information out, I ended up getting a spoiler. So the moral of the story was that you just look up nothing. Just be like, you know what? I will do anything else.
I have 3 RGG games waiting for New Game Plus. I have Like a Dragon and then both Judgment games. Because the games themselves have been 100%ed. The only thing that you need to do is beat the game on the legendary difficulty to platinum them.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those, everything is done minus that one single trophy that requires New Game Plus, and I've just never gone back to do it on difficult. And I've been removed from it so long now that I probably wouldn't be able to go do it on the hardest mode anyway, because I would forget how to play them.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. So outside of that, I'm just like looking around to make sure there's nothing else that I'm. Nope, that's it. That's all I've done. We recorded not like too terribly long ago. So.
Yeah, it was a late week last week.
Yeah.
That's fair. Still like 5 days though. So
You trying to say Christian's slacking? Because he didn't beat a game within those 5 days?
I'm not saying, hey, look, man, I'm not saying anything like that. It is surprising that he comes and does not have
He's been a busy
beaten
boy.
game, is all I'm
And
saying.
technically, I did beat a game. So
That's true. We did
There.
beat the game that we're all going to talk about here later.
Did.
My week, we'll let Preston go last because he probably has the biggest week then. My week is very small too. I only played the game that we're going to talk about. And that's really it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
It was my first time back on PC gaming. Was that game?
There you go.
So there you go.
Feeling good.
What about you, Preston?
I have a couple of games I've been messing around with. We'll give a quick, shout outs to the Snap Grandmaster comes out. I want to get him. 2 cost, 0 power, but he brings another unreveal card on the deck to the middle location and has their unreveal go off again, which is very nice. I'm curious. It's going to be a fun card. I'm very curious to see what we can kind of create with those and how the meta moves around that one. Also playing more Baldur's Gate 3. Still a great game. Just a little bit further in the spot that I was. I was told, because I'm at a certain spot, if you know what it is, it's the Shar Temple. And I was told that if I want to do any cleanup, I should probably do cleanup before I finish this said temple. Because it will be a lock. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to the stealthy part of that and I hated it. So I will be more than happy to go and take care of the rest of the side stuff I have. So
Temple of Shar is so... The level design of that place is so good.
it's very, very interesting so far. Yeah, I didn't play too hard into it, but I'm at the second trial, so. But I think I got the Githyanki Crash still to take care of, so I'm going to go off and do that. I've been kind of holding off on that one until the very end, so we're going to see what happens
Who are
when
you
I go
romancing in that game?
there. I am the Githyanki, Lizelle, I'm sorry. Names,
Lizelle.
and me, I'm horrible. But yeah, Lizelle. I was thinking about doing Karlak, but
Interesting
I haven't
choice.
had the opportunity for Karlak yet.
it's because it's too late.
Is it? Okay.
Karlak is a
She's early.
yeah, well that and Karlak is very much a to my knowledge a monogamous person. So if you're already slanging your thing everywhere, she wants nothing to do with it.
Well, I mean,
I thought
at that
Karlak-
point I wasn't official, but We're kind of more
I
official.
thought Karlach was one of the few. No, Lae'zel is one of the few that's actually okay with
Yeah.
others. You're right, but Karlach is one. Yeah.
But yeah. She woke me
Fair.
up in the middle of the night. She's like, I just can't help myself. She's like, I just keep thinking about you. I'm like, we should kick the shit out of each other. I'm like, okay, I was gonna go to bed, but like, we could fight, sure, if that's what gets your rocks off. I mean, whatever you need, girl. So we did that thing, and yeah,
When
we
that-
made it official
when that
by
happened with-
fighting. She kicked
When
my
that happened
ass.
with me, when that happened with me with Lae'zel, I remember, you wake up and I'm just kind of like, hey, I really appreciate the flattery,
Yeah.
but you're green and very bony, so I'm gonna have to pass.
Not loving the way you said green.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend all the green people out there that get the Yankees.
Wow, really not loving the way you said people there either.
Christian out to get us all canceled.
Yeah.
so.
Just
you.
one person.
Just you. But yeah, check into that one.
Let me know how that ends, because I think that's the only like romance path that I don't know how it goes. So I'm
Okay.
interested to see. Like, Karlax is pretty good. I romance Shadowheart in that game, and from what I hear, like Asterions is good, but I have not seen Lae'zel's.
Yeah, Shadowheart's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puff, so I'm gonna stick with Lae'zel for right now.
I have a type, man.
Okay.
Goth with baggage. There we go.
Yeah, I went with Shadowheart as well, although it was only because, like Preston, the mistake was that I had already,
Didn't
fucking
get on the train
accident-
before it left.
Yeah, I accidentally talked to Shadowheart, and then the game was like, okay, you're locked in. And I was like, but what about Karlach? And they were like, yeah, go fuck yourself, it's too late. And I was like, dude,
She knows,
I
yeah.
just want to had I given the option, I would have broken up with Shadowheart immediately and,
Sure.
and went with Karlach. But
Christian, I don't know that you saw it, but I told you, like, the ending scene with Karlach, because I did romance her, like, you pick somebody to do something, and there's a cool little, like, scene with the two of them. If you romance her, then you are inserted in that scene with her, and that would have been a really good send-off for the characters.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
her thing that I got at the end was really cool.
Okay.
yeah,
All right, but yeah, other than that, I finished the Telltale's Expanse. The Expanse. It's very good. You get through it, and this is all definitely before the movies. And then they have like a little last bonus chapter, which is you playing a part of. I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of his name. Avasarala, the older politician lady with the smoky voice. There's like a whole episode just with her, and you're kind of doing some delegation, some diplomacy, cursing, and it's overall a good story, and kind of leads into something about her from the show that you never got to see like actually happen, but this is like the event that happened that caused like the big life event for her. So that was kind of an interesting little like, hey, here's some more background story to like how this actually went down with her. So that's nice. It's good if you like Telltale and you like the Spans especially. It's good. It's a good get. It's a good get. Lastly, I'm starting to dabble. Christian has come over to my location, and thank you to Alex for sending over his hand-me-down PC, which is, when you say hand-me-down, it kind of makes it sound a little less, but it's a very good PC. It's got 270.
Still a very good PC.
Yeah, it's a very, very
Can
good PC.
confirm, played Baldur's Gate like a champ, plays Final Fantasy like a champ, just saying.
I'm thinking sooner or later I might be testing it out with Cyberpunk, so we're going to see how it all goes. I'm sure it'll go fine. But yeah, I've been we got that hooked up. We got files transferred over, everything like that. We're recording on it right now. But Christian helped me figure out how to take, my nice gaming collection, put them on, software on my computer, aka ROMs, and then we transfer them over to my Steam Deck. So
yeah, much like Alex and I, we take our full
Preservation.
collection and
Hey.
we dump them from our own legitimate copies of the game.
Sure.
And then I took those same things and I went over to Preston's house.
Yeah.
I didn't give him mine because that would be illegal.
That's stealing.
But I gave Preston the ability to also be able to do that with his own collection. We've got that going. All obviously in the name of preservation, absolutely.
Sure.
So
yeah, that and we just
yeah.
like to play our games on Steam Deck.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
F-Zero GX over there. Guess what I started playing? F-Zero GX on my Steam Deck, and it's fantastic. I've been doing like one chapter a night for the story, and I totally forgot about the stupid way of unlocking chapters in that game. So you play the tutorial, it's just pretty much a video, not tutorial, intro, and then you get the first chapter where you're doing like a virtual training, so you're flying through collecting things as you go through the race. You can do easy, and that gets you 15 points. And then you can try to do hard, which will get you more points, but hard is incredibly difficult. And I was beating my head against that. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. Like, how do I unlock chapter 2? Because it's not unlocking for me. I mean, obviously we're getting points here. What do? You got to go to the customized section in the menu. And in the customized section of a menu, go to the store. And in the store, there's an item section. And the item section is where the unlocked chapters go for you to purchase.
Ooh.
It took me a hot second to figure that out. I know I buy them somewhere. I'm like, where the fuck do I buy them? And it took like 3 menus for me to get to it. And it's like, oh, it's right here. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay, well, I know now, but damn, they just do not flag that for you at all. Like, they just definitely expect you to figure that one out. So, bought chapter 2, which is the one with Goro, and it is an insane, like, race to the end. It's some dude, and if you see a picture of him, you'll kind of recognize him as one of, like, the main, like, F-Zero characters. But essentially you're on a race on this cliffside where all these rocks are falling down, and he is just like, he's definitely got more speed than you, he's got more boosters than you, so if you time your boosters right and you get around there, and at the very last second I had just enough boosters to pass him up right at the very end. But I remember that level back in the day, and I would just beat my head against the wall with that one, because he just seems to get you right at the end. Like, you don't have enough boost power, you're going to explode if you touch anything, and you can't boost anymore. And I remember days of trying that chapter, but I got done with them like 5 to 7 tries the other night, and I'm like, all right, okay, Preston's better at video games. Let's keep this ball rolling. So I'm gonna try to do like 1 chapter a night. We talked earlier about, that I got 15 for the first one. It costs 20 to get the next chapter. Well, then you play like a Grand Prix. A Grand Prix also gets you like 10 to 15 points as well. So you play like a chapter, you get some points. You can try the hard mode version of it and then get enough points for the next one, or go play a Grand Prix, play like 5-6 laps, or 5-6 race tracks, and then you'll get points based off of your rankings. So it's good. Preston's back in it. I downloaded Pokemon Silver the other day. I'm super stoked to kind of dabble with that. Now with the ROMs, me taking all my old games back in, I'm gonna start playing them again. And just, if you thought I was a dabbler beforehand, just wait till you see me fucking bouncing around all these games.
I will have to send you guys my hard drive so you can admire my collection of preserved video games.
Sure.
Yes.
I would love to see those.
Yeah.
And not play them. But
it's quite a list. Over my life, I've been able to play and preserve something around 600 games or so. So it's
huge.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool to look at.
But yeah, other than that, not much else. Just me and this little guy right here hanging out, chilling. He lays with me on the couch. We play some video games. GDQ's done, so we're just kind of looking around for other things. Been watching Game Grumps play some Mario Wonder. It's been a lot of fun. It's a good time. Good time.
It's too cold to do anything, and then I see, like, out Christian's window, there's actually snow on people's roof.
Oh yeah, it's sleeted today, and my car didn't start for like 5 days. I had to have Christian jump on my car because it was too cold.
That's crazy.
Just for the temperature, and then just killed the battery. So he had to jump it.
It hit a brisk 35 today, though.
It did. I love actually when you get like negative like 12 with some wind chill. Like 35 is like, it feels good out here, man. Like, I don't need a hoodie and a coat. I can just put on like a coat, and heck, if I just need to walk out to the car, I'll just do it in a shirt. I don't care. Like once you hit those negatives,
that's how people get frostbite. So.
Yeah. Once you get those negatives, it's like 30 seems like nothing.
35
no, you don't get 35.
No,
I don't go outside with a shirt on when it's negative 12.
But yeah. Or like how it was negative 28 the other day.
You were in Chicago for like a day.
I was in Chicago, and it was, what did I tell you guys when I was there? -7. It was like 7 feels like -7 feels like -17.
Yep, because that chill from the lake,
man.
Yep.
Like nothing. Like you walk 20 feet, and like all of my nose hairs, my mustache are frozen
because you're
like,
just breathing on it, and it's.
I got out of the shower and I forgot, and like I was wearing a beanie, and I got to the office, and when I took the beanie off, my hair kind of moved around and it hit me, and like this much of it was just frozen. It was awful. All of it was awful.
Dude, I can't shower and go outside.
And what's crazy with Chicago and Milwaukee specifically is because they're lake cities. The wind that comes off that lake might as well be daggers.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's
and like you would hear sirens going, and it's like there could be a car wreck, or there could definitely just be somebody that froze. like outside,
Yeah.
nowhere to go.
The
Like,
craziest thing was that we saw was, Alex, I don't know if it was like this when you were there, but it was so cold on a few of those days that Lake Michigan, notoriously a very, very cold Great Lake, was steaming because of how
Yeah.
cold it was outside. Yeah,
Yeah, it was steaming
Which
there in
is
Chicago
wild.
too, which is weird. Yeah, I was because I guess the water was warmer than the cold
The air.
water was still warmer
Yeah.
than the air temperature. Yeah, it was steaming. We watched the river because the office that we were at there in Chicago is right on Michigan Avenue, so it was right on the river. And we just watched it freeze over the 2 days we were there. Like in the morning when you came in, there wasn't really any ice there, and by that evening when we left, the whole thing was nearly frozen. And then the next morning, it was all frozen. You're just like, ugh,
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh yeah.
So, cool. All right. Well, that may successfully be the fastest weeks we've ever done in the history of this podcast.
This is a short week, and then a lot of the games I'm playing are the games I was playing last week too. So I don't want to babble on too
Yeah,
much.
the
over
problem
and
is
over again.
like I could keep going about Rogue Trader, but everything would be a spoiler. It doesn't really, and also the game is apparently 135 hours long. So like what am I going to do here? And then
Yeah.
Like a Dragon's going to come out, and I'm going to start playing that. But then literally everything that I could say about that will be a spoiler. So it'll be
yeah. I'm
Then
holding
you have
off
one
for
person
Persona
who can't
3.
play games, really. So there's that.
yeah.
Cool.
But,
well, then
real
let's...
quick, I forgot to mention, Star Wars Sundays are coming back. I have
Nice.
decided we're going to play Rogue Squadron 3D, which is pretty
Okay.
much the PC port of Rogue Squadron 64. It works fine with the controller. I was messing around with the Steam Deck the other day, so that is going to be our next Sunday streams. I'm going to
Alright.
take a trip back in time to when I played Rogue Squadron 64.
Cool. Well, we were able to bring back book club
Yeah.
because Alex has one good hand, and whatever works with one good hand, we can make it work. And Preston, it was his time to pick a game, and he decided we would go back and play a little game called Flower, which I'll let him talk about in a minute.
Meh.
But after long testing, he said that it can be played one-handed with a controller,
Can.
which is probably true. But I actually just downloaded it on Steam, and they support a mouse, so I was able to do the whole thing with just a
Okay.
mouse instead. So
enough.
that's
Really,
how
I gotta tell you, it really grinds my gears that you did not have to do the motion controls. But that's
No. The only thing I will say is I did turn the sensitivity up to 10 because it's native 5, and boy, it is slow.
Is
I
it?
turned it up to 10, and there were still times where I was just like, like I'm trying to run it across the desk, but it did work, and I beat it today. So anyway, Preston, I will pass it over
Yeah.
to you. You can lead this part here.
All right. Flower, created by That Game Company. You know them from great games like Journey, and the one right before this one was Flow. This came out in 2009. It was done by them, and then the port was done by Bluepoint, which is the one that I played. I'm assuming that's the one that's also on PC.
It is
No.
not.
And it's not really.
It's absolutely not.
Okay.
is the
It is
PS3
not.
version.
Oh,
Yes.
all right.
So did this game come out then in between Flow and Journey? Is this their second game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
This one was not, the music was not done by Austin Wintory. This one was Vincent Diamante. I didn't find a whole lot with him. It is one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time. It's just incredibly chill, and it's incredibly soothing. And if you just need meditation music, or if you just need something just more relaxing, even more relaxing than Lofi, then this is definitely a great album to kind of get into. But yeah, he also did obviously Sky, Children of Light, the new one from That Game Company. He's also composer on The Walk. It's a short. It's not the actual whatever other that movie was. And then was an audio director and designer for things like Skullgirls and Castlevania Order of Shadow. But that's the only kind of background. And Indivisible. He did music mixing for that. But yeah, a lot less than I thought he would have done. I thought he would have done a lot more than that. But he's a great composer. I wish he did more. I'm excited to try out Sky, Children of Light to hear that soundtrack. But yeah, other than that, director Genova Chen, obviously from That Game Company. And yeah, it's done. Well, it started off being the PlayStation exclusive. You would use your, what they call it, 6-axis to tilt the controller to move the direction of your flower, which is flower petals string behind it. I love it. I think it's great. No other game actually uses the controls like that very well, at least. From Christian's expression, I'm assuming he hated it. But I thought it was just fine. I thought it was great. But yeah, just you go into it. It starts off with just a windowsill and a little flower pot with a flower that has not quite bloomed yet. Click on that flower, you hold on to it. It starts you off into the first level. So we'll start off in the first level, which is just a nice little open field. Not a whole lot happening around it. Very kind of dead grass everywhere. And you launch off the first little petal, just like you will with every level we go through. And this is considered the yellow level. So you start off as the yellow flower petal. You're going through collecting flowers as they are popping up, and they're kind of navigating you to where you need to go. There's other little spots here and there where there might be other flowers. And as you're going through this, once you're collecting more flowers, there are sometimes you can unlock new secret flowers, or you can find those just hiding out here and there. With this one, I definitely got all 3 bonus flowers, secret flowers. After that, I think there's only a couple levels where I missed one, but I got most of them on there. The only and then so once you get through here, you're going through all the way through. You're kind of just making the grass come back to life. You're opening up other things. Rocks become less gray. They become a little more colorful, and you kind of get the gist of what this game is going to do with just this level. And then there's different other color flowers that have a little bit of separate traits. The red ones are kind of more of a marker of giving you an event. So once you get all the red flowers in a certain area, it'll open up and usually will activate something that either you finished off the area or it'll unlock to like a separate area. But yeah, what do you guys think about just the introduction of the game?
So yes, by my expression, I hate motion controls. I have never liked motion controls. I don't like them on the PS3. I don't like them on the PS4, the PS5, the Wii, the whatevers. I don't care. It doesn't. I've never. There's always the people, like, even on the Switch, like, when people are like, oh, you use gyro aiming for fucking Splatoon. I'm like, I'd rather blow my brains out. So no, thank you. Even though I know people have said that that's like the way pros do it and whatever, and more power to those people. It's not for me. That being said, it did not hit me initially in this first opening level. So in the opening level, a lot of the targets are very like spread out.
Yeah, they're not a lot of clustering. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, you are. A lot of the turns and things are very wide and very easy to like, I can just sort of breeze my way through it. So as I was doing it, I still remember, it's not like it was my favorite. I remember being like, the second I picked it, so for those who know, I played it on my PS3. So
okay.
As I started it, I'm going through it, and I was just like, yep, this is the 6-axis. Like, this is exactly... I have memories specifically of 2 games that I remember playing and then them having motion controls. It was this one, and then it was the PS3 Ratchet and Clank where they... No, 3, sorry. It was the PS3 Ratchet and Clank where they fucking... When Ratchet is like falling down through the sky and you have to use the 6-axis to avoid shit as it was coming through, which was miserable. And then in Heavenly Sword, which was a very early title for PS3 for those who don't know, very cool game. I like Heavenly Sword a lot. There's a moment though where you're defending a place and it's having you shoot cannonballs at people, and after you shoot the cannonballs, you start directing the cannonball with the 6-axis, and then obviously there's layer. If for those, that's an acronym, but it was LIAR, but it's that dragon where the whole game was 6-axis. That was a thing. It just brought back my memories of every single time I've had to use 6-axis. Yeah.
But did you hate it playing at this game? Like, it did bother you having to play it with the motion controls?
At this level, the first level, not yet.
Okay. All right. Now, me being the expert flower professional, I know how to do all these crazy moves and shit like that, but I will say I was doing it one-handed, and after a while your hand starts to hurt a little bit. Like, it's like when you got groceries you're holding on to for a little bit, like, damn, I should have got a cart. Like, this is the kind of level it just, I was like, man, it must really suck. I mean, I feel bad for Alex. He has to play it this way. And of course he didn't. He played it on a mouse. But I did play it on one-handed, just, you know, to see what it would be like, I guess. You're muted.
You're muted.
I said, thanks for the solidarity. I'm glad I played it with the mouse. So that's... So the first level I liked. It wasn't my favorite level of the game. Probably
It's just
my
intro, yeah.
third favorite level, right? Out of the
tutorial.
6. It was good. I liked the color. I liked the music. I did not pick up on, like, the flowers have purposes. So there are flowers with a purpose, right? Like, the flowers that are integral to moving on have the halo around them. So
Yep.
you would get that. So, like, that I picked up on. But the color of the flower, I did not pick up on. I just realized,
white's
like,
always
some were
like the
yellow,
basic.
some were red.
Yellow is kind of help you with pathing sometimes. I mean, they don't always use them exactly for pathing. Sometimes you'll just find a dump of like yellow flowers just to get through that patch. But since it's doing the yellow level, this introduces the yellow flowers, which really just, you're supposed to get those mainly. And then I think at the very end with the tree, I think they gave you some red flowers there to kind of show like this is, hey, activate these specifically to kind of get the end game to where the tree's there. It's got a big old swirly around it. You touch the swirly, you finish the level at that point.
Sure. So I have one problem with this level, and it's just the overall game design, which is I found everything in this level first try,
Sure.
naturally, because I got every flower. Mm-hmm. And this game does not do a good this game doesn't do a job at all to tell you what
Anything.
levels are going to require you getting, or what areas require you getting every flower to pop the special flower.
Sure, yeah.
And
no.
which ones just require you to get, like, all the red flowers.
Or just to find it in a
and
corner
then you'll
somewhere.
pop.
Yeah.
Or just find it in a corner, right? Which means I probably wasted a lot of game time
Looking.
trying for a while until I figured out, like, oh, this was just hidden, right? Or whatever. Yeah, getting every flower in sections for no reason. And that kind of irked me when I realized that I was just wasting time. It wasn't until the windmill level, which I think is like level 4
Sure.
or something, where I was like, oh, I don't have to do this.
Some of them are just
Cool.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
thanks,
another example.
game.
It's the similar to some of the other games that we played in the booklet where, like, I would be like, do we need collectibles in this one? Like, we sure?
It's just a little extra,
Yeah.
and kind of like rather than just going through and playing the game. Like basically, this is the one small thing to where it's like, here's the extra, like the secret pieces that you don't have to
So
get,
we'll-
but it's fun.
We'll talk about one of those secrets in the next or maybe the third level.
Probably the third you're thinking of.
Maybe that
It's in a
also
cave,
problem.
maybe?
But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that because I have a problem with that too. So
Okay.
as a whole, though, it was really pretty. It was the
very
music
pretty
was
game.
good. I wish I had played a version that was more akin to like the newer versions that you played, Preston, because on Steam it is straight up the PS3 version. So like on this 2K monitor, I see pixels, right? Like
Yeah.
the color is very pretty and it looks good, but there are times when like all the flowers are floating around you that like you just see pixels. So I do kind of wish I had the prettier.
Yes. It does look much better
version
on the PS4
of the
version.
game.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was never loaded to Steam, but whatever. But yeah, the
PlayStation.
color palette, specifically around this first level and the second level, when you like because like in this, there's green grass, but there's also like in the first level dead areas. When you get all the flowers, it like turns green, like
And
it's
it erupts
very
into
pretty
life,
and
yeah.
vibrant for these first couple levels,
Yeah.
which I really liked.
And what they do with the motion with all the grass and everything like that, like you'll see it like when you go down to the ground and like the grass like kind of parts its ways as you go through it.
Yeah.
The flower petals are behind you. Like the motion and everything with all like the environment is incredibly well done as well.
I was pretty high on this game after the first level. I thought
Yeah.
I had it down. I was
Pretty good. Second level is the red flower level. You'll go through here. You're following a trail of red flowers. There'll be some rock formations that you'll go through, and you'll also be kind of getting the red flowers around those and yellow flowers as well to kind of erupt these areas back to life, essentially. They go from a grayish-brown rock to a bright red, more like a clay rock. And then this way you're now opening up sections of the level. So there are sections that are blocked off to you that you cannot get to until you get the flowers that will open up that area. So in this one, you're unlocking like 2 sections of a rock wall. So like you're bringing to life one side, bringing life the other, and then you finally get a last little strip of red flowers, which will open up the rock area for you.
Before you even do that, though, there are like almost. I thought of them as like fingers. They're not really fingers, but they're like 5 like rocks coming straight out of the ground.
Well,
and you
rock
would get
formations,
the
yeah.
stuff, and they would open. I thought that was really cool because like I don't know, it added a little like mystery to this world, which I'll ask about in a minute. But like that was interesting. It made it feel like a fantasy, right? Because you would get that the rocks would literally like move
There's a little more
and open
magical
up
happening.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you also find out later on this level, because then you get a certain section to where there'll be specific colored flowers, so like blue, pink, and yellow around certain rocks. And then once you gather up those colors right there, you first start off thinking it's a blue, and then it goes yellow, pink. I know pink's the last one. I don't know the exact order, but you unlock the first one, it unlocks the next set of colors. But within those rocks, it has like a color illumination, which will turn you into essentially like a paintbrush for that color. So you can go around and kind of do a design all over the map. And after you unlock all 3 of those and kind of unlock the entire area, bring it back to life, that's when you get your little portal in the middle. And every time you go down in one of these portals, that's where the new flower sprouts for the next level. But each time you're getting brought back to that little windowsill where a new flower plant will be. And that's where your special leaves will drop down for all the secret flowers you get to as well. But I really like the second one with the painting. I remember spending a lot of time, not as much this time, but like in my earlier playthroughs, just having fun with just painting the ground. And then when you finish up the level, it kind of gives you a little bit of a bigger view, and you get to see all your designs over there because they don't go away. And it's a very neat touch. And again, like Alex said, it gives it a little bit more of like a magical feel to it rather than you just bringing plant life to an area.
Yeah. I'll go first on this one. So this is where I have some questions.
Okay.
You know,
I probably won't have answers because
really-
they don't explain shit.
No, I know. I really liked the vibrancy of that second area of this one, like you said, painting the ground, which, in my opinion, was about the only highlight of this level. Because what they introduce is the first time I ran into it, they do something in this level that then continues in the rest of the game. It may have happened in the first one, but to Christian's point, everything was spread out. That drove me nuts. I would be on a path to get flowers, and I would be like, okay, I'm going to go, like, in my head, I can see it. I'm going to go bang, 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 and then I'm going to come back, go bang, 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 come back up the other side, right? And I would go bang, 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 hit these, and all of a sudden it goes, hey, you hit the color we wanted. Now we're going to force pan the camera out to show you more, and we're not going to put you back where we were. We're just going to put you some arbitrary place we've decided like you should have been to hit this pan. So multiple times throughout this game, it totally effed with my path of where I was trying to get, because it would be like, nope, you hit the flower, I'm going to move you over here. And this, it started to drive me nuts. By the 5th or 6th level, I was just like, I was almost scared to hit things. Because I was like, if I go too far this one way, like, I know I'm going to hit something, and it's just going to be like, back. And it does it in the city. In the last level, I was like, back over here. And I'm just like, why?
So most of them, I mean, I kind of get where you are at some of those, but a lot of them, your flower petal stream will still go while it's zooming out. So if you're holding a different direction, if you're holding on the button, like your petal will still continue on whatever direction you're holding. Not all of them. There are some of them that will essentially put you in an area like, hey, this is the next path. We're going to kind of lay you down here.
Yes, but when they do, when it allows you to move in the background, you are still your whole like equilibrium essentially is all thrown off because you're having a weird like half isometric view of where your flower petals are at, and then you're like, oh, okay, so I guess I'll go this. Well, for me, I don't. This not.
Yeah, for you.
This is not for Al, but for me, I'm like, okay, so this way, and you're like testing out little directions to figure out like, can I keep going? Like, okay, go this way. And then as you're doing it, the camera has already started to come back down. So then you have to reorient and back. So it is
this,
a little.
So this was the level that it was most egregious for me because it was the first time it
Egregious.
happened and it threw it off. So then like it happens throughout the game and I'm just like by the end of it I'm like okay please stop. But like this is the one in this section specifically with the paint. I was going up one side, right? I was getting the pink flowers. No, I'm sorry, the little like white ones, the basic ones, right? And I'm going up and I'm like bam, getting all these and I say cool, I'm gonna hit all of these up this side and I'm gonna go an outer ring. And I hit them all up one side and he goes, you did what we want you to do, so now we can show you the next level. So mind you, like as I'm panning out, I'm still going around and like I make it like over here by this point. And when it comes back down, it's like, nope, now you're way back here at the beginning, so you can see all the red ones in a circle again. It's like, but I knew, like you didn't have to show me this time. I would have seen them. Like you could have shown one pan up and then like drop me where I was and then show the others. But you don't have to do it in every section of this game either. Like
No.
the once would have been fine, and that's why it stuck out to me the most because I was like way over here and it dropped me way back at the beginning, and I was like, just because you wanted to. The question though that I had, and I never figured this out, is why does the game start in a city, looking out the window with the flower pots, right? And then they even do this little like this intro, or maybe it's a loading screen or whatever, where there is like a city, like maybe you're looking over the road and there's cars driving by. But then you're in this fantastical world, and when you're done, you're popped out, and you're in the room looking at the flower pots again. That's how you select levels. But like, what is the tie-in? What is the story they're trying to tell? Like, I could never figure out the purpose, looking out the window over the city, and then coming back to it, and like what you were doing with the levels themselves.
So the city is obviously grayed out. Everything is grayed out in the background. The whole thing is that you see this, and you got your own little flower pot to start bringing, more color into your apartment, whatever the hell it is. And it starts the story off way out in a field outside the city, because you are now going to be this flower petal that, as you go through, you are coming to the city where it's the most dead. Because we got dead grass here, but you can bring the grass back to life. But once you get to the city, and we'll get to those other levels, what you're doing there, you're bringing those cities back to life by adding color to them, adding more grass, and just taking away all this crappy looking like building material that we'll see in the later levels. But it's essentially you're bringing more life back to this world. And this world is essentially comprised of a field outside there. You get some windmills and blah, 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 and all the levels as you get closer and closer to the city.
But that doesn't translate to the real city you're living in, right? Like, you never see that color come through. Like, if you're looking out your window, it's dark and it's rainy, right? Like, toward the end of the game, like, it never... As far as I understand, and you guys could tell me if you got something else from it, the levels that you do in flower, red level, yellow level, they don't affect or tie into the city in the room that you're in.
They do.
In the level select. Do they?
Yes.
I never saw that impacted.
So,
other than the window changes when you get all the secret ones.
So as you're going through the levels, the window will change a little bit. You'll notice it is when you get to that one level where it is raining, the more like the spoopy level, if you will. And that's when, like, okay, there's also rain outside the window, but you don't see the gradual improvement because you're doing everything outside the city. You only see the improvement once you beat the game, is once you finish the city level. Because your character's in the city.
So this is saying then.
I'm not saying anything because you have to take all this with your own idea of what this is, because it's that kind of art game. Yeah.
So I guess that's where I'm confused. Like, are we saying that we are in the city and we're imagining this flower petal and it's changing the world that I actually live in? Or are we saying, like, I'm a stand-in character in this place and maybe this game is a euphemism for depression and emotion or some metaphysical?
I think it's more or less like you're getting plants to liven up the color of your area, and you're playing a special adventure outside to come and cure the city. But you know what? There's no actual story here, so you take from it what you will.
Okay, that's fair.
My
is
opinion that Sony went to that game company and told them that they had a 3-game contract for them, and they wanted them to use all of the PlayStation's features to its current capability to show off all of those things, and that Flower, unlike Flow and Journey, Flower has the least to say about anything, and that it is just a very, very pretty tutorial for 6-axis motion technology.
I mean, not completely wrong. I mean, this game is so small they didn't get a platinum trophy. So,
It sure didn't.
yeah, and I've
But they had 14 trophies. How is there not a platinum
I have
in there?
100% this game, and you do not get a platinum because this was back in the day to where like if you didn't like really try hard and ask for a platinum, if they thought your game was too small or insignificant, you didn't get a platinum.
And none of their games, as a matter of fact, have gotten platinums. Flow and
does Journey have platinum?
Interesting.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Journey and Contrast are the only two games I've ever played on PlayStation that never had platinums.
All right. Well, moving on to the next level. This would be the pink flower level. This was where I had a little. I definitely like this level a little bit more than the first two.
This is the windmill level, right?
Yes, this is the one to where you start off with a big windmill, and you're realizing that you got these new pink flowers, which give you these super speed boosts, which are really nice because you are
Not
booking
the-
it. You are cooking it.
Not
and
the
booking
farm level.
it. Not the farm, level.
level
Yet.
is okay.
I think that's the next one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this one you're activating all the windmills. You're just going through, picking up flowers in rows. They'll start turning on the windmills. Those windmills will start pushing wind forward. You can kind of go through those and get boosted. There's a trophy for getting boosted 7 times by the windmills. And yeah, as you're going through there, you're doing the same exact thing. You're kind of livening up the land. You're turning on the windmills, which is, you'll see later on in the next level, you're getting power to set places. That's what activating windmills for. And there is a section towards the 2/3 mark to where you will be going through kind of a trench, if you will, that has a lot of wind gusts to it and a bunch of pink flowers inside there, and you're having a lot of fun trying to like bounce between the pink flowers, trying to get in some of the yellow and the blue that are kind of scattered along there to unlock some things. There is a cave in this little cavern where there's a section to where you get the blue flower at, and then there's also a nice little trophy to where if you see the section where there's a wall, that is a little homage to Flow. So if you get at that little area, you get a little bloop trophy for that one as well.
Okay, was the trophy the homage, or was the image the homage? Because it went. This was the problem I said I had earlier. It went so fast because you're on the wind.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was. I passed it and
It's
it lit up.
one of
and
the
it goes,
creatures
I'm like,
from
the
Flow.
drawing is the
the
homage.
drawing, yeah. So it looks like one
I
of the
couldn't
creatures
even-
from Flow.
couldn't even tell what it was.
You're going
it went
by it very
so
fast.
quick.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what that is.
So, I want it really quick, if I could, for this level.
Yeah, please.
This was the beginning of... This was the start of me being like, that's right, I really fucking hate 6-axis.
Did you try and go backwards against the wind in
Oh, so...
Don't do that. This is wind.
No.
Flower pedal.
this? No, I did. I did it with a mouse, and I felt like I was trying to break the game in order
Yeah,
to do
no.
it. It
You
was
just
So the first problem is that and here's how I know that everybody knows deep down in their heart that motion controls suck. They just don't want to admit it. So there's sections in this, and they're arbitrary. You do not know what is going to trigger these and what's not going to trigger these. But there are sections in this level where if you hit one of the pink ones, it takes you on a set path. There's nothing
It
you can
does,
do.
yeah.
I could flip that controller into space, and it would still follow the same path,
correct.
right? And in my mind, I'm like, well, if the 6-axis is so great, why do you need to put me on rails? I should be able to do these motions all on my fucking own. You shouldn't need to slam me through something to be like, look at how fast you're going. It's like I'm out of control. I can't. There's nothing I can do here. But then, if you were just, collecting things at your leisure, like if you're just flying around and doing your thing, and you're like, oh, I'll go pick up these ones, and then while I'm over here, I'll grab that windmill and do this. The thing that got irritating for me is that I had to start this level over because I was just like, well, I'll try to go through, and naturally, I didn't want to look up anything, but I was like, I'll just go through, and I had zero desire to replay any levels, which obviously in certain levels you do have to replay, if something happens.
If you miss
in
it,
the later. Yeah. So, and so I was like, I'll just see what I can get naturally, and whatever I get naturally, fantastic, great, and we'll do that. So I'm just casually going through, and then when I trigger the third windmill, because I'm like, well, I'm over here, so it's not like it's going to hurt anything, the game is like, all right, go fuck yourself, and shoves you forward, and you're like, And I literally audibly, as I'm trying to flip this fucking controller, I go, no, I don't want to, and it just kept pushing you forward, and you're just like, and I'm sitting there, and I set the controller down on my desk, and I sort of just moved my face forward, and I was like, I hate motion controls. Like, I was just like, what? Because I'm sitting here being like, I just want to go back, and you already put me through, and I'm looking like a fucking idiot, being like, just go, please, go backwards, and it just won't do it. And so then I was like, great. So then I backed out of the level and was like, well, now I know that if I trigger the third windmill, it fucking makes it so I can't do anything. So I had to start over and do that. And then the auto-scroller part, the thing that kills me is that, like, through all the auto-scrollers, you're like, you know that, like, as you're going through, like, there's nothing you can do, like, because to Alex, to your point, there's not a very clear indicator of, do I need to collect do I need to collect all the flowers to get the hidden ones, or do I need to not do that, right? Like, or do I just need to find it or whatever? So at this point, I'm still under the assumption that I have to collect all of the flowers to get something to pop up, and so I'm like, there's two paths where you can either throw yourself up and get more speed or do whatever, or you stay down on the ground level. But they both have flowers, and so they both can be missed. And so I'm like, well, what the fuck? What am I, like, and so it already, and, you know, you just can do it and let the...
There's certain pathways that will loop you back around if you get the proper pathway. And then...
If you do.
There are some of these spots to where, like, you should be able to get all this through in, like, one playthrough. But obviously you're not going to get every flower, but some of those pathways have white flowers, which aren't exactly... They're pathways you can take, but they're not pathways that are going to do a whole lot for you. If you see yellow flowers or blue or pink, those are going to activate, usually do something. White flowers are just kind of there to kind of help show the pathing or just give you something.
But it's arbitrary on what you choose. So, like, if you choose the left path, then it will take and loop you back around and you can do it again. You're like, oh, great. But if you just go... If you happen to be like, I'll take the right path... Then it's like, okay, great, and you missed it, and then you go, and there's nothing to do about it.
You can get every flower if you want to, but boy, is it a fight. So this was... The second level was my second favorite. The next level, I think, is my first favorite level. Then I would say level 1, and then, like, this one. So this is the second place where many times... I would get the little flowers around the windmill, and it would be like, pan out and let me show you what we're doing with the windmill thing, and then we're going to drop your flowers somewhere where you may not have been. I would just be like, why? Why? God, why? Please, like, this area is like 10 feet wide. Like, I can see the whole thing. You could have just started the windmill and showed the air path, and I would have just naturally seen it. Like, you didn't need to show me for each one. So... I hit the windmill, right, like the wind, and it takes you through the path, and I went through the cave, and I was like, cool, go through the cave, and I was like, but there was the right path, let me go through the right one, and it was like, bing, trophy, and I'm like, I have no idea what that was even for, I couldn't even tell what the image was, because I'm flying, right? I get to the end, and I do the 3 sets of windmills flying back and forth, I look around, I get the other seed or whatever, so like, I've gotten all the special flowers by this one. And then you get the little tornado thing that's like, when you fly into this, that's the end of the level. It's like, no, I did not get all the flowers. Because by this point, level 3, I still believe you need to get all of the flowers. Now, Christian, to your point, what I realized is, after doing what I'm going to tell you I did, it would be impossible to get all the flowers in one run, normally. And I think it would be impossible to get most of the flowers with motion control, because there are a couple... When you come flying around ledges or around corners, there are a couple buried on the bottom backhand side against rocks.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't know how you would have gotten. Because, like, with motion controls, you can't turn around. With a mouse, I was fighting these wind paths. So what would happen is I would go backwards and the wind would push me, but I could just scroll up real quick. So I'd shoot straight up in the air, and it would turn my camera around and push me, and I would loop it, and I would clip the edge of the mountain and go over the mountain.
Oh.
And I was able to do that because it snakes over itself.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do that to get all the way back to the beginning to see if I missed anything, which I did.
Just
I was
so
able
we're
to
clear.
get the
What you're describing is absolutely not intended.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying.
I
broke it. I broke it because I had a mouse, right? And I was able to move the flower faster by like doing this number, like scrolling the mouse quickly, then it could compensate for the gameplay, which you can't do with motion controls, right? So I could force it. But I got back to the beginning. I got the special flower there. I got it in the second part. I got it in the third. So I knew I was good. So then I spent time flying around. But that's like when I realized after I saw some of these that were like hidden that like I could get to but were a pain to get to, and I made my way back to the beginning and got the special flower, I realized you don't have to collect everything to get all 3. So it took to level 3 before I realized that, and it was like, well, I'm out. So then I just caught it and took it back. But I spent longest on this level, which is why it's one of my least favorites, because I was trying to break the game to get back to do what I wanted to do versus what it wanted me to do. And I was probably in this level for 40 minutes, like fighting in that wind tunnel, like fighting that wind tunnel. And when I finally clipped back over, I was like, cool, now you're in my world.
I love the idea of like your wife coming in and be like, honey, please stop. And you're just like, going like, no.
That's what I had to do. And it was harder because like you go slow straight up and down than you do like right and left. Yeah. So I was having to like roll it up and get up over it and fight against the wind and the camera angles, which is easier on the mouse. But yeah, this was, again, like there were just weird things. That achievement, it was a cool homage, but like if you want to do that, I wish it would have been done a little bit better because it happened so quick.
To where, like slow it down to where you can kind of see it, and then turn back, kind of thing. Yeah, sure.
You slow me down for everything else. Pan me for that when I go flying by. You know what I mean? Like, let me see what you want me to see. I went by so quick it just pops. Like, okay. But also, like, if I would have been in Christian's shoes, I would have been really pissed that this is also the first level you make it to where the game says you cannot go backwards. Right, like you made it here, you can't go back, and that would have been frustrating if I was in motion controls, and I would not have tried to collect everything if that were the case. So, yeah. This is not my favorite level. The next one though, I really liked.
Next one is the blue flower level. This is more of the one to where you're kind of taking all that windmill power and you're kind of lighting up the lights that are starting to lead toward the city. This is more of like a farm area, I guess you would call it. There's like some hay bales.
This is the best level in the game.
This is the one you liked? Okay, so this is the one to where like there has some little yellow flowers underneath some light posts, and when you get those and you hit that, it illuminates your character just like it did with the colors in the second level. With this one, you can illuminate the ground, and there are certain paths and certain things you can kind of go around to kind of fill them up, to kind of bring life to the area. You're not really shooting out a whole bunch of green colors or anything like that, because it's a very dark level scenario, and you're kind of just trying to get the lights on and trying to have the light fixtures as they go through pathing. To get them that way. But I like the way they did some of the secret flowers in this one, to where before you finish a certain section with your light, because once you finish a section with your light turns off. But you can get the light, and then you can go, like, if you illuminate a pond, you can get one from there. They have one to where, like, there was one that was just hidden behind, like, some wooden posts or, like, a little object. But I think this is the one to where I missed one because I didn't illuminate the ponds. But I knew what I had to do. I couldn't get myself illuminated back. But yeah, this one is a very cool aesthetic to where it's all that dark, kind of like dark blues as you're going through there, just illuminating the ground. A lot of fun. Anyone?
Yeah. So
is it? I think it's my turn on this one. Yeah.
Sure.
I liked this. This was my favorite level. Once I figured out what I needed to do, because I spent the beginning of this level for a couple of minutes frustratingly crawling at a snail's pace.
You just finished with the pink one, going super fast, and now you're here, there's no speed boosts.
And then I made it to this road, and I was like, oh, I can go quick, but if I'm in the darkness and the high grass, I'm gonna like crawl. So once I figured that out, it was fine. I love the color palette. I love the nighttime aesthetic this one had. I loved how this one, you're trying to restore power. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like, your flower lights up with light, and you can light up all the grass around you and create these really cool patterns and circles. I thought there were interesting puzzles, and there were cool things I figured out on my own. Like, I just was flying around and flew around the wagon wheel, and it popped out the special flower. Mm-hmm. Or I flew over the lake and it lit it up and popped out a special flower. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I really like that. I also did the more exploring down the road, and I found the other one because like I was faster on the roads than off. And this one was shorter and kind of self-contained. Once you did the patterns, like, you were gone. So I really liked this level. I don't have many complaints at all about this level other than just the beginning. It took me a minute to figure out, like, how to move. I do find the pacing, if you will, odd. Like, if I were doing this game, I think I would have done things backward and done, like, the barren levels towards the end first and the more like light levels last, and told a different story, right? Versus this one is light, it goes barren. I know we'll get there. So I don't know, like, I think I would have done that maybe to tell a story or something. The pacing, if you will, and that's not the right word because it's all the same pace, but like the level organization kind of threw me, because I feel like I was searching for a story that wasn't necessarily there. I was like, these must mean something in this order, and I don't know that it did.
I feel that these two should have been switched a little bit, mainly because of the movement you get from the pink flowers, and you're just booking it the entire, like, the third level, and now you're just slow down. Like, there's not a lot of pink flowers, if any, in here, so you're going to be going this, like, sluggish pace, and that was definitely something I noticed. The other part that I had a problem with on this level was the same thing that you had an issue with anytime it does that pan out, but you have these hay bales that you're supposed to illuminate around. For every single hay bale you do, it zooms it out. It zooms it out every single time, and I'm like, I'm just trying to go. I got 3 hay bales here. I just want to go boom, 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 and go through, and then you can give me the thing. That'd be cool. But no, it wanted to do it for every single hay bale, and I'm like, all right. That's when it kind of definitely dragged for me. Christian?
Yeah, so for me, like, I mean, I agree with you guys about the zooming out thing. It's a little unnecessary near the hay bales part. The reason this was my favorite level is because, well, I think the aesthetic is really nice. Like, it's just, it's the most relaxing of the levels, in my opinion. But I'm really a big fan of that color palette anyway. Like,
sure.
Whatever. So either way. But my main thing, the reason I like it is because there's no bounds. Like, the game will be like, hey, go ahead and paint this whole area with the light or whatever so you can bring the power up, whatever. But, like, also if you want to roll around, like, the little wagon wheel, you can do that. Or if you want to go over to these ponds and, like, roll through there and do something along those lines, that's okay too. Like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't feel like it's gated in any way. Like, you just get to do whatever you want and kind of just, like, fly around at your leisure. So that's why I like it. But the aesthetic is my favorite of them. I think that it works the best. I like that when you go over the pond, like, you taking the light over the pond sort of bring, like, little frog noises and little things like nature stuff. If the idea of Flower is that you are trying to return color and life to various, like, ecosystems leading up to, the larger city, I think this level is the only one that accomplishes it in any sort of meaningful way. Like, obviously the other ones are like, oh, here's color, or like, oh, look, the rocks are now red as opposed to gray, right? Like, that's all that's, but I think that this level is the only one that feels like you are returning, like, all aspects of life back into a given area. Like, there's the power, obviously, parts of it, right? There's the whole, like, illuminating certain areas, like, that, and then obviously with the ponds, and, like, you roll over a pond, and all of a sudden, like, frogs are back, and little bugs, and, like, things, and there's little fireflies and shit. Like, all of that, I think this is the only level that, if what semblance of a narrative they are trying to do, I think this is the level that accomplishes that.
Sure.
Yeah.
All
I like
right.
this one.
Next level is my most hated level.
It's the worst level in the game.
I have a lot of difficulties with this level, especially in the past. And then there is the trophy, which going after is very frustrating to get because I feel there's some... So in this level, you're starting off, you restored power, but a lot of these are like evil power lines, if you will. Like, you got to go and turn the gray beams up into white beams or light white beams, and therefore it won't hurt you anymore. But if you were to hit one of these pieces, it gives you the gold zzz, noise. Your trail starts smoking a little bit, and it kind of disorients you as far as like where your flower's looking at, what direction you're going into. At the very beginning, it's not too hard to not hit these. You kind of going hitting the blue flowers here and there to kind of revitalize certain ones. You're getting into a main section to where there's 3 of these big towers, and each one of them you're trying to revitalize to make it to where it's more white than gray, and that kind of gives the good power towards the forward area. And then the last section of it is the biggest fucking pain in the ass ever, because you're going really, really fast, and if you're not doing certain pathing, you will get hit, and it will delay you, and you'll be frustrated, and you're going to lose that trophy, because the whole trophy is don't get hurt. Journey through to the city unscathed, essentially, is what it's supposed to be. And this is definitely the one. It's spoopy, so it kind of ruins the whole vibe and mood of what you've had previously and after. Mm-hmm. And then also on top of everything, you are now dealing with the new environmental hazard. So you can't completely die in this game, I don't think, but it just stops you. It stops momentum. It just doesn't feel good when you hit those. Obviously, they didn't want it to feel great when you hit those because you're hurting yourself. But it just, there were some times where I could have swore I had the pathing proper, and you get electrocuted. It's like sometimes the flower's a little further away than you think, sometimes they're closer than you think, and you're just not making, because there's some parts to where you're going through this like barrier section where there's like some metal and crisscrossing at you, and you're supposed to dive into it a little bit and be safe and go slower. Even going slow, all of a sudden it's like a fucking operation to where you're like, I didn't touch the side, stop it. And you get a little shock. But yeah.
I described to Alex before you got on, Preston, that this section of the game feels like you are trying to play Operation, and then but you are trying to tell somebody else how to do it, like the way to do it, and you're controlling that person with like a shitty crane game like joystick. It is the most infuriating. Like, there's so many times I went through the whole first part of the level. And I'm basically, like, I knew it was coming ahead of time, and I'm like, okay, I have to go at a snail's pace. Like, I have to sit there and, like, do the little tippy tap and, like, just tap X just to, like, shove myself a little bit forward and then, like, inch the way that I want to go to be able to touch the purple flower so that then they make the fucking hazard go away. I did that for the whole fucking level. And then you get to the end section where there's obviously like the bigger, there's like the 3 or 4 bigger electrical, towers that you have to go to deal with. On the very last one,
really,
it's just the 6-axis thing, and it's just like as I'm going towards it, it's like the game just goes like meh, like it just moves you a little bit, and you're just like meh, and then it touched it was like meh, and I was like I literally was like, this, if this was a different time in my life, like if I would have been like, well, I'm gonna throw this controller, like I'm done, like this is, because it's so, I'm just not a big fan of motion controls.
This one,
it's very obviously, yeah.
Well, and this level was so inconsistent on like what would buzz you and what wouldn't, because like if you could grab a blue flower as you were getting buzzed, it wouldn't buzz you. So like if you could go through it and like hit the blue flower, you were fine. Yeah. But if there's no blue flower around, then you would get buzzed. So there was just a lot of inconsistency there with like what set it off and what didn't. But this also, like, it did slow the whole game down for me, because there would be points where, like you guys had the snail's pace where like I wasn't holding the button to go fast. I was literally just like barely moving and then like moving the mouse. And the most frustrating thing is if you miss one of those when barely moving, there is no turn on a dime. Like, you gotta like go around. It's almost like in an airplane. It's like, well, we couldn't land, so we gotta take another loop. Like, that's gonna be like 15 minutes. That's what this is. It's just like, no.
Then, so I'm already irritated right when that first, like, when I got just, the game just decided arbitrarily, like, meh, you just touched it. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I'm like, whatever, let's continue. So then obviously after you finish that part, it takes you through the auto-scroller part, which is the second one of the game. And it's like, all right, here you go, fucking, you buckle in and you're going to try to dodge these things. Dude, my game might as well have been on repeat. It was literally, like, as I'm trying, like, doing the fucking motions. It's like, there's just nothing I could fucking do. And I was like, and by the end of it, I said, I don't care. I set the controller down. I was like, there you go. And it was just like, bam, 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 bam. It got me all the way through. And then I flew and touched the thing in the middle, and I was like, great, let's move on to the different level. I fucking hate it. It's the worst level in the game. It's the whatever the fucking, I don't remember their name, but whatever the enemy name in Doom Eternal is that Alex and I both hate.
Oh.
It is that enemy.
The Marauder or whatever.
It's the Marauder of Flower. It's like you start and you're just like, everything that should be nice about this game is stripped out of this level, and you have taken it away from me to give me some sort of like oppressive tone when it's like it's in your, and you're like, look at how bad it is over here, like, you know, you could get shocked and whatever. But as it's like, I'm just like, everything that I should like about this game is absent from this level, and you are making me interact with this game in a way that I don't think there is a single person on this planet that likes doing.
And this is, again, like, we just kind of continued the weirdness of this one of, like, what is the story you're telling me here? I did not understand, because we left the pretty areas, and now we made it the drab areas, and we're not even bringing color to this world, we're just powering it up, right? Like, we're just bringing power, and then you have, like, the sentient...
Well, not even really. You're removing hazards from this area, so you're not even like, there's not like power that's returning. Like you're
power's already there.
I shouldn't say that. Yeah, you are, let's say, like
purifying the power.
Yeah, you're repairing the down, like the I don't know, the bad power, I guess. Like I think the way that I took this was that, like, as you get closer to the city, it is like, obviously whatever evil force that is sucking up the color out of this world is it's a lot stronger, more towards the city, and so you have to sort of get rid of its influence to be able to make your way towards the city.
I guess, but in every other level, in doing so, you brought more color back. In this one, you literally just turned.
To be fair,
like, the power was white, and that was it.
Yeah, it gets brighter because these aren't colorful
Kind of.
poles. They're dark gray, and then when you get to the blue flowers around them, they turn into more of like a brighter white gray.
Right.
Like it's a little bit of dingy gray because it's still metal, but it's a white gray at this point.
But then there's just like sentient power structures that come flying out of the ground to stop.
But that's the evil influence, or whatever that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, that's
so
humans
that's
building or whatever.
That's why
yeah.
I took it as you're getting close. It's saying like, hey, you are purifying the bad influence that has been, sapping things away and whatever. This is you know.
This
So
is
then
them needing to bring a
the
threat
other-
into a game that has no threats.
The other thing that was interesting on this one is when you make it out of this level and you get all the secret flowers, you get secret flowers because in the flower pot in the real world, they drop little petals up to 3 for all the secret flowers. Except this one, and the flower like blooms, right? This one is still the purple flower that's like hanging over itself, like kind of drooping. And when you get all 3, it still drops like all 3 petals. But it doesn't like stand up and bloom really pretty.
Yeah.
So I had to look up because I thought I was still missing,
Thought there was,
like,
like, a
maybe
fourth
this
one,
was the one
maybe?
level
Yeah.
that had a 4th hidden one, because all the others stand up and get perky and bloom, and this one just doesn't. And like, you got them, but there's no way to tell you got them. So yeah, that was that. It was just goofy.
Yeah. And then this is the only one to where you start getting towards that end portal, and then it fades to black because you don't actually get to that end portal. The beginning of the next level is where you get that one. So this is the light pink flower level. This is the last level. And this one will be to where you finally go into that final portal. You get into that new flower, and that new flower gives you like the superpower. You become like supersonic at this point of the flower verse, and then you just kind of start busting through all these fucking pieces of metal and everything. Something that you really fucking wish you had the last level right before that. But as you're going through here, you are knocking down pieces of this like clutter metal, and as soon as you kind of clear up certain areas, buildings will sprout from them, nice bright white buildings. And then you'll have little red flowers that go around these buildings to where you can kind of get up to kind of bring color to those buildings as well. As you're going through all this, you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again until you're boom, 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 kind of knocking them down. It feels good. You got the power after having that threat level to where you feel very unpowered and you're just trying to escape. And then once you go through, you're building up bigger buildings. They have 2 towers right next to each other, which I thought was odd. And then in one of those, you got a little secret flower, which is nice. But
they did have 2 twin towers. Absolutely.
It did. When it popped up, I'm like, okay. And then there are some pathing areas in that little section too, to where you hit the pink flower and it'll automatically just boop, boop, boop. And you can easily miss some section there. This is one of those to where, like, I don't remember how to get all the secret flowers, so I'm assuming that maybe 1 or 2 of them here and there want you to get all the flowers in the room. So I was just, that room alone to where you got multiple buildings, pretty much 4 buildings on one section, and it litters the ground with like yellow and red flowers. So I'm trying to get all these. There was a point to where I did the whole thing what Alex did, to where I spent probably an extra 5 minutes or so that I shouldn't have, just kind of like hovering above, being like, okay. But I find like, oh, there's one, I've missed one. I hit, like, okay, nothing happened. Okay, let's look around some more. And then I finally got to a point like, okay, I've gotten all the flowers here, just nothing happens. Okay, cool, we're moving on. Where you then move on to a very cool section, which is like a highway scene. To where you go up on an on-ramp, you get onto the highway, it does the same kind of thing it almost does in the cave, to where there's different pathing you can go that can loop you back around to get different sections. I think I took the one path that was nice, but then I think I just took the proper main path the last time, and I just skipped a whole section of that highway, which I thought was kind of sucked, and I couldn't go back.
So the nice thing is you can, but it's a little hidden, but you actually, there is all the way up until the final tower climb, there are little paths that you can take that can shoot you all the way back to the beginning of the highway, basically, and you can start over, which is what I did.
Yeah, I remember those.
I had a love-hate relationship with this level.
So my thing was when I saw that and I was able to go all the way back to the beginning and start back over on the highway and do this whole thing, I said to myself, this is nice. I really wish that this would have been a feature through every single level, just so that.
Give me one pathway to start me back.
But then also, yeah, I don't know, like, I know, Alex, you had a specific issue with the mouse that, although it seems like it was your just fucking solve all for every other level.
It bit me in the ass this time.
This is where God saw fit to show you that you were still human in this level. So for me, and I'll let you speak to that, but for me, I mostly just spent this level being vindictive against the little steel pieces that shocked me last time.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll clear every single one of you just because I don't want you to exist. I rolled, because obviously during the last tower climb, as you're shooting through it, you don't have to go back and like get all of those little lives.
Those let you go forward.
As a matter of fact, it wants you to keep going. And I would flip around and go back and be like, I'm touching every single one of these just to prove a point. But that's,
It's like, this level for me, I don't know, it was weird because I first start off and I fly around, I get the power to break through the metal piece, right? And they're like, cool, I know what I'm doing. I light up a little area around me, and then I fly forward into the playground area. This is like the city block, if you will, right? And I'm flying around the city block, and I fly over the swing set, and it turns green, and that turns yellow, and I'm like, okay, that was weird. I'm not quite sure. Like, I did something clearly to light up the ground, but I'm not quite sure what I did. Right. And then I flew over to the slide, and I was like, what happens if I go up the slide or down, whatever? You touch it, and it lights up. I'm like, cool, so I know what I need to do now. So then I touch the monkey bars, does the same thing. But then that's it. There's all the green in the area. Everything else is dark. So then I'm flying around, and I break one of those metal pieces, and I'm like, oh, I can break this, because when I do, it lights up green. So then I realize all the way back to the beginning, like, I've missed, like, metal pieces and everything else. So I stop right then and there, halfway done with that block, go all the way back to the beginning, I clear out all the metal, and then all of a sudden buildings pop up from the ground out of nowhere. I'm just like, okay, so I know what I need to do. But, like, I could have missed all of this. If I would have just hit the road over there, like, I could have missed it all. And I get it. You haven't been hand-holding me this whole game. It is about exploration. But, like, you could have done a better job to tell me that, like, buildings are going to pop out of the ground. But then they go the opposite way. So then you start popping buildings out and making everything colorful, and you're like, cool, I want to keep doing this. But they're like, we're going to give you 1,000,000 flowers on the ground. But these serve no purpose, right? But like you might think they do, because again, you don't know where the flower is. So I found the first one, which was, I'm trying to think where oh, okay. So the first one I got accidentally, because I got to I did the air conditioners, I got to the top of the building, and I was like, what happens if I go in the building that's open from the top? So I floated down, and it took me right past one of the hidden flowers, and this is where Chris was talking about, where, dude, I got stuck. I used the upward draft to go up to get it, and the game kind of freaked out, and like my character model just stopped. And I slowly started going. Like I was having to do this with my mouse. It took me like 3 minutes to get back out of the top, and I couldn't go down either because the character model was stuck in a way that if I tilted the camera down, it would just stop vertical. So like I couldn't. So I was just stuck, like slowly floating this building. So then I was just like angry at that by that point. So once I was angry, I didn't even care about getting all the other flowers. I was like, why are there 1,000,000,000,000 flowers down here and they're not even going to mean anything? So the highway part was
for 10,000.
which I guess you're not wrong. The highway part was cool. I really enjoyed that, and I got lucky because I just hit the right, like the same. Actually, funny, the same way I got the hidden flower in the level before in the maze area at the end. I just take the right path, like put your hand on the right wall and just go right first every time. That led me to both of the hidden flowers in each of those because the right path had. In this one, goes down, you have the hidden flower. Second one I did middle, and then left, which was the true. They could have put the true exit in any other place, and I would have missed an entire area because I just went right, middle, left. But then I get to the end, and I'm hitting the buildings, and same thing. Like now I know what I need to be doing. So I'm hitting the metal bars, I'm taking them out, and watching the buildings turn up. But on the final climb, same sort of thing. Like with the mouse and not having the 6-axis. It wouldn't let me really look straight up. So instead what ended up happening is I was doing wide circles around the outside of the tower, and I would only get a view to the next path when the game camera said, like, let me view, like, angle you up there. So you make the climb, you fly out of the top, you hit a painted window.
It's the window and a chair that's supposed to be in the beginning of the menu.
Yeah.
Sure. Which then just again made me go, what story are you trying to tell? Like, even in games that leave it up to your interpretation, give you something to ponder. But the only thing in this one I had to ponder is, what are you trying to tell me? And how does any of this tie into the real world and the magical flowers that are appearing on my nightstand? And I
can
think
see Preston going to Google and say, what is the story of Flower?
I've already done it. I couldn't find anything.
No, you couldn't find anything? Okay.
So,
if you
couldn't find anything. Because everybody writes it off with it means your own interpretation, which is a cop-out, I guess, sometimes. But, like, I just wish you didn't have to tell me a narrative. I just wish you would have tied the flower world and the real world together, because even with the one at the end where you're in the city, that city doesn't vibe with the first 2 levels that we played that had magical moving rocks, right? Like even your own flower world
buildings.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. It felt like it didn't vibe to me. Like even the worlds together. So I just wish they did something to tie those together better, so I could like ponder on what does this mean. In like what I took away from it was, it's an allegory, or what I took away from it is a metaphor for this. Instead, I'm just like, I don't know what you were trying to get. So this level, like, I really like this level at times, and then I didn't like this level at other times. So I think they did the best of the best in this level that they had pulled from other places, but they also did like the middling pieces to abundance in this one too, right?
Sure.
So yeah, it was a middling level for me. It was not as bad as the last one, but it wasn't its top what the game had to offer either.
To me, for my thoughts, I guess final thoughts on the level was, and I guess to go, because you touched on it a little bit in your thing, I honestly think that this is your problems with not having any sort of inkling at a narrative or anything like that. Is why I think, as much as it sounds like I'm being shitty, I really do think that that's why it's Astro's Playroom. Like it is a
Yeah, it's
a
a
set
tech
piece.
game. It's a cheap tech
Yeah,
game
it
to kind
is-
of show
yes,
off
it
the
is-
features of the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it is what, like, you know, when a new Unreal Engine comes out and then there's a game that's like, you know, it's a quote unquote game, but it's like just this crazy, you know, like the for Unreal Engine 5, there was like that, it was like some lady who was like crazy action shit was going on, she's like shooting a bunch of blah blah blah, and everybody's like, the fuck is this, dude? This looks sick. Like whatever this is, I want a piece of that. And they're like, it's nothing. It's just showing you what this engine can do. And you're like, okay, I guess. And then you're like, whatever. But then that's similar to what is happening here. Is I think, like, you know, they just are like, look, we want a pretty art game. I mean, art in quotes, but it's like they want a pretty art game that will show off the power of the PlayStation 3. We want to show everybody how pretty it looks and how you can it's you. And then they want, and honestly, for some of the promotion material for the console, it was showing old people doing this, right? They're like, look, even your grandmother can use the PlayStation 3 to play Flower.
Getting that Wii money.
So that you can take it to a holiday, you can bring your PS3, you can plug it in and be like, look, everybody, look at what gaming can do. And then you're sitting there, and then everybody can sit there and fucking play with the motion controls, and they can feel like they're doing it. But that's what it is. It is just it's a tech game. There's no, you know, there's nothing. And honestly, I feel the same way about Flow. Like, Flow obviously was, you know, their first game before this, but Flow is very silly. It is literally just creature get bigger. Like, you are flying around, like you're floating around in the, like, you know, prehistoric goop, as it were, and you're just chomping on little creatures that are smaller than you, and as you eat a certain amount, you then evolve into a bigger thing, and that keeps happening and happening and happening and happening till the end. I think the only game that has anything to say about anything of theirs is Journey.
Yeah.
That I've played. I haven't played their
Sky.
But that's my opinion on it.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, Preston, take us to the last part.
Last part's credits. Did any of you go into the credits with the picture frame? Mm-hmm. Nice, fun little end credit scene. I like little end credit scenes to where you can actually interact with them. They do it a lot with the Nintendo games. They did it with Super Mario Wonder. And this one, you're just going through, you're picking up credits as you go along, and it kind of
That was
slows
directed
down.
at Alex. He was like, they did it in Super Mario Wonder, a game you liked, Alex.
Yeah,
so
I can
watch
see,
your
I can see,
mouth
I can
as
see
you
Alex being
continue.
like turning his nose to it over there. But no, I like it a lot. They kind of hint on little parts of different levels as you go through. It's a nice way to give yourself the credits rather than just a boring scroller, which they do the later half of the credits as a boring scroller. But it's a nice little touch. It's a nice little fun thing
I
you can
broke
do.
that part, by the way.
What's that?
I broke that very end part that you're
How do you
talking
break
about.
the end part?
Because obviously, you know, during that section, it's like the camera still tries to generally follow your trail of flowers, right?
Until you go off
And
screen,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, and so the idea, so that's the thing, is that the idea is that they want you to be like, you know, they assume
Straight
that
up.
you will just float around the credits until it lets you go, right? I just turned the controller. There we go. I turned the controller and I went like this, and so it just went all the way to the left, and so it kept going, and so the camera was like sitting there and it was following it for a second, and then it kept going, and then it cut off like maybe 1/3 of the credits on this
I know
because
it
I
went
kept getting it to go and go, and it got to the point where I was holding it for so long, and I was like, God damn, these credits are still going, and I was like, I wonder if I turned back around, like, will it come back? Like, did I hit an invisible wall, or was it just into the infinite void? Was it letting me go? So I turned the controller the other way to get me to come back, and I held it for the rest of that time, and it still did not make it back. So I know it was somewhere off in the infinite void doing whatever, but it was just funny that it just let me cut off like 1/3 of the credits, and it was just like,
funny.
whoever those people are, I'll never see. But
So, let me just... The irritation with this starts with the picture frame. I thought the picture frame might be a reward for finding all of the special flowers because I found them all. So I was like, cool. Clearly, if I took the time to find all of those, I get an extra level or an extra piece. So I go to the picture frame like this, because the picture frame literally, like, unlike the other things, you get out of the level and like your flower is just kind of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the picture frame literally like poofs into existence. It's just like, here we are. And I was like, oh, this must be because I got all the things. So let's do it. And then I get in and it starts the credits. So I'm already like, erg, because I thought this was a reward and it's not a reward. You are making me watch credits. So then I'm flying through and like I'm not really picking them up. I just see they're like people's names. Like, oh, cool, that's an interesting way to do the credits. You're gonna let me fly through this area and just kind of see them, right? Until about halfway through, when they force you go to turn left down a canyon and they go, hey, these are the greatest hits of the level. So remember that one level where you hit the darkness and you can't go in the darkness? And you go, yep. And they go, yeah. You can't progress these credits until you collect these like 11 people's names in a circle to trigger the next scene, which will be the blue ones that pop up around the outer rim that you have to collect to then turn on the power. So then I go up top and I go to collect the blue ones, right? And part of them are across the bridge and I fall off and I miss 4. I miss 2 in the turn and I miss 2 on the bridge. So I go back up, and I'm going back around, and I get the first 2 that I miss in the turn, and it goes, hey, you got enough. Those other 2 on the bridge, pff, don't even worry about it. Let's auto-direct you down the side. I'm like, well, then it didn't even matter if I got them all. But when you had to start getting them, it wouldn't have bothered me if you just, like, flower, flower, flower. And I know why they did this. They did it because they wanted to celebrate their people. Sure. But they give you a half-second, not even, a split-second pause on every name that you collect. So if you collect all like 300 names, it's going move, stop, move, stop, move, stop, move, stop. And I know you want to like see your people, so like I get it, but it wasn't fun. I just wanted to get out of it.
It's just
so by the time I realized, like when I hit the scroll, and I was like, oh, this isn't like a hidden secret level or something special that I get for collecting all of those, I just escaped, quit to desktop. Like I didn't even watch them all by that point because I was mad that you didn't reward me and you made this among one of the longest levels.
Just because it
and you still added mechanics. Yeah. And then you still added mechanics that like you couldn't even just leisurely float through the credits if you wanted to. They're like, no, like you have to do this puzzle to get out.
I know that I keep saying this, but God, if there is ever a candidate for moments that we need to chop up and post to Instagram as a reel, that is one of them, and I'm just saying it. Anyway, honestly, so first I'll say, I actually think I agree with Preston. It is a fun way to do credits. I think there's 2 minor nitpicks I have. One is I think it goes on too long, as in I think that everybody who worked on this game absolutely should get their due and should be in this credits. So, and you can honestly pause a little bit longer on their name. I am totally in support of that. I think as soon as it gets to like Sony's marketing team, and
I don't
like,
need them there. I can meet in
and I'm like, you should have just said thank you to the marketing team and let me blast through it. Like there was specifically, it was like, thank you to the first party, director of support of blah, 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 Sean Layden. I went, what the? I was like, I'd love to see Sean Layden's hours on this game. I'd love to see the time he put into hands-on keyboard work that he did. Now, I know, executives are people too, whatever. I'm just saying that he didn't, it's a little much. You could have given more time to the people who actually, like, worked on the game, and then you could have just said like big thank you to all of our Sony team members, and then everybody could have done their thing and you could have moved on.
If you did an open field with just the people that worked on the game and allowed me to fly around, and then you just scroll for everyone else, fine. Sure. Totally.
My only other nitpick was that it is the whole level is a hey, look, it's where we've been. All 6 levels are here. Mm-hmm. And it really sucks when I hate one of the levels with a passion. It's like, hey, look, here's the Shocky Shocks, and I'm like, get this out of the credits. I saved the world. move on. Like, I don't
Did
need to
you?
be shocked anymore. Yeah, I returned color and life to everything.
And then disappeared into a floating window with a chair. Did you save the
Yeah.
world, or?
Yeah, according to Flower, I did.
Hey, it's up to his interpretation. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, man. That's like your
art, man.
opinion, man.
Yeah.
And so, but that's no legitimately. It was as soon as I saw the Shocky bits, I was like, "Yep, I do remember this level game. Thank you for reminding me. The thing I actually most wanted to forget." But yeah, that's as far as obviously we have our final thoughts for the whole
Sure.
game, but that's for that credit level. That's where I'm at.
Sure. I'm going to let you guys take your final thoughts because I don't want to give it praise and you guys shit on it. I want you guys to shit on it that I can give it praise.
And then what we'll do, I'll give my final thoughts, but I would like Preston to give his rating first, so I have a baseline of where to put mine. Also, so I know how much wrath I'm going to endure. So, look, I'm not. It was not a bad game.
No, it's not a bad game.
It was pretty.
Very
The
pretty.
soundtrack was good.
Soundtrack's amazing.
I can't even say it. Look, because of the version that I played, I can't even say it's very pretty. I can say it's pretty. Like, I really enjoyed
sure.
it. I wish I would have played the enhanced version.
The HD version,
personally.
yeah.
Yes, I wish I would have. But it was pretty.
Well,
and if I take it back for the
PS3
time,
version is an HD version.
It's a joke,
It's
you
in
know what I
1080p,
mean,
but
yeah.
yeah.
sure. But if I think about it for the time, like it did a lot of great things. Like the effects in the grass and stuff when you're floating around were really, really good. I did have plenty of nitpicks, as we've talked about on here, with just like the general movement and some of the things it tells you versus it not, and my own assumptions and so on. But my biggest frustration as a whole, and I'm just gonna keep harping on it, is the lack of any attempt to create a dialogue that allows the player to come up with their own interpretation. Right? At least if you leave it vague and you come up with your own interpretation, people and their friends can talk about what they thought it meant to them. And I didn't even get an attempt coming through at even that. I really do, like to Christian's point, feel like it was a tech demo of the time.
Oh, for sure.
So, soundtrack was good. Gameplay was pretty. Some of the levels I really enjoyed. I thought were gorgeous, and I thought were good. And then some of the levels I just, like the electricity, I just did not find.
It's not a great level.
So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. I think the score will tell the most. I'm interested to hear everybody's scores, but I'm glad I experienced this game, and I'm glad that I was able to play it on PC, because I think I would have had a better time on PC than trying to do it one-handed on the computer. So I am glad I am glad I went through the experience of.
I
this
imagine
game.
that if you had loaded it up on PS5 and you were doing the one-handed motion thing and
I
you
would
started
throw my
getting
PS5
shocked,
controller.
you'd have been like, "Nyeh," like you'd have been shaking, you'd have been pissed. I mean, so for me, because I know Preston wants to go last, I think that this game is a fine tech demo. It's exactly what it is. I think that I know it's, in my opinion, the thing that keeps it from being just like a completely like average thing is, I do agree with Preston, the soundtrack is great. They do a great job with the soundtrack. All of the moments in the game match the notes that they try to like pull through the soundtrack. So the things that you're doing in the levels, like when you hit like the auto scroller parts, like the big rushing music notes come in and you're doing the whole thing. They do a great job with the soundtrack. That being said, everything else is just fine. I think like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything crazy happening but again, I don't think it's meant to. I think that
It's not.
I think that people on the early days of the PS3 desperately wanted their $600 purchase, which is like probably $1,200 fucking today. They desperately wanted their purchase to mean something. Like, they wanted to be able to go to school and be like, the kids with Xbox 360s can't make fun of me because I have cool games like this. Like, my console is pushing the medium forward and yours is just about shooting things. It's genuinely the reason that I think that every game they've done besides Journey was put on this massive pedestal when in any other generation this would have been a pack-in game. Like, it would have been hey, your PlayStation comes preloaded with Flow and Flower. Have fun, messing with the motion controls for a little bit if that's what your jam is, and that's it. And there you go. Like, so in that regard, it's a tech demo now, and I'm completely taking out of the fact that I would feel this way even if I was able to use a analog stick to control the entire time. I do very much hate motion controls, but that's not. If I were to put that into this game, I would be like it's a 2 because it's using motion controls and I hate it. But I'm taking out the control scheme of it, and I'm just saying, like, I think that's all it's trying to do is just show off. This is what the PS3 can do. Everybody, come look at my shiny keys that I'm jangling in front of you. Like, that's in the same way that
when I told Christian that I was playing with mouse and keyboard before you got on Preston, he was just like, "Ooh, I wish I would have done that too." Like, you could hear the irritation in his voice.
Yeah, honestly, had I known that was an option, I'd have done it in a heartbeat. I'd have been like, I'll infinitely do that because at least I'll have like a better time. For most of the game anyway, I guess, until the end. But I don't know. Like, it's just, I think that people put a lot into their first 2 games that I think even that game company couldn't possibly have seen coming. And I especially think that given that as soon as Journey was done and their contract was up, they didn't do dick else for anything. Like, they have obviously Sky, Children of Light, and that is like a game that people play, I assume, but it is in nowhere near any of the amount of press, accolades, anything that those first 3 games got.
Sure.
Which is wild considering that their 3rd game is their best one by, like, massive
I'll give you that 100%.
points.
Yeah.
I did look it up. I mean, this game, when it came out, won, like, Indie Game of the Year by a couple of different magazines and everything. Like, it was
not a bad game.
Yep. But that's my point, is that I think that when people... They desperately wanted to see something in this game like, look, that games can be art and all that, which they can't. I think games are art. I think that's like, and
whatever. This is around the time to where indie is like just blossoming. So it's not like we're having the insane amount of indies we get nowadays. Like, they're few and far between back then.
But I guess that's kind of my thing, is that I'm sitting here thinking about it and I'm like, okay, and I don't, somebody might be able to correct me on the dates, but like, I'm thinking of early indie games and I'm looking at this game, and even if I were to compare it against its own like companies, but like, I'm pretty sure Bastion had come out by now.
I mean, it came out in 2009. What year did Bastion come out?
I'm not 100% sure.
I can look up
I know it was one of the first like Xbox arcade games, so it had to have been close.
I gotcha. I'm thinking around that time was like Stardust.
Bastion came out in 11.
Oh, okay, so never mind. So
fairly close though. It's not too far off, but yeah.
Yeah, but even then, so but to my point, even if I'm only comparing it to the games that game company released, like, I really feel like the only game that had any amount of anything to say was Journey.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, these games were just the other ones. Like I said, in any other generation, I think these games would have been pack-in games. They would have just been pre-installed on your system, and it would have been fun to mess around with.
Same thing with Astro Boy.
Yeah, but because the PS3 was a fucking $600 console at launch, they needed to have these marketing pushes to be like, look at what's capable on this box. Like, please come buy the high art system, basically.
This game was kind of on its own when it comes to indie games. Indie games in 2019. Gagnagok, Hellcats and Hockey Sticks, Lady Blackbird, Little Fears Nightmare, Misery Bubblegum, On Her Majesty's Arcane Service, Ribbon Drive. I mean, that's what you're looking at. So
Sure.
It makes sense why this game kind of stands.
It was like
on
prestigious
its own,
indie, yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot else.
No.
I mean, nothing.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying, even if I'm comparing it to the games that came out from that company, Flow came out before this, and it's much of the same. Like, it's not really...
Get a basic idea of what they want to do with the game. There's not a whole lot of story to it.
Yeah.
Short.
Okay. So, what about you, Preston?
I have a lot of nostalgia that goes back with this one too, but I think it's a very nice chill game. I play it every couple of years. It's just you get a couple of days off and you don't know what to do sometimes on those like staycations. It's a good hour. It's good 2 hours to burn. You know, I just got just south of 2 hours when I finished this game. It's a nice sit down, finish the whole game, chill out, smoke some flower while playing flower. You know, whatever you want to do. It's a good, chill, relaxing game.
If I was high, I probably would have enjoyed it more.
It's really good high. But to be fair,
So
that tends to improve most things you do. So
Yeah. So then, what's your rating on 10 flower petals? What you got?
So I mean, like I've talked about it being like a 9 or 10, and it's a tech demo game. I say I would, with my nostalgia, I give it an 8, but without my nostalgia, I would give it a 7. So I would say I would give it a 7 overall as far as like what it is. It's a decent game. It is still a tech demo. It's a great tech demo, especially for that age. It's a great indie game from that time. And you add in my nostalgia and my enjoyment of the game and how many times I play it. I say I give it a 7 flower petals out of 10.
Cool. Perfect. Then I don't have the nostalgia, so I don't feel so bad. So
Give whatever you want. I'm not gonna get upset.
I will give it a 6.
I feel like you're being generous with
For
that
all
6.
the reasons I've said. No,
okay.
actually, that's the real score, because before you got on, before we talked about it,
kinda
Christian and I
decided,
were
yeah.
here, and he's like, I have to ask you, what are you going to rate it? And I said a 6. And Christian, what did you say when we talked about it earlier?
I said same. I wanted to give it 6. I said if I was trying to be nice, I could maybe go up 6.1, 6.2.
So it really wasn't one of those things like being generous. Like, truly, that's where we think. And 6, again, we talk about 6 is not bad. It's a game. I'm glad I experienced the game. It's a game worth experiencing if you want to play it.
Sure,
I
it's
would
not a
have
whole lot of
motion controls.
investment you gotta put into it. It's a fun. If you don't like it, put it down. Fucking who cares?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cheap.
So I picked it up for like $6 on Steam.
Exactly.
So yeah. There's that. I bet you I would have felt different about it playing it back in the PlayStation 3 day
Sure.
than now. But hey, look, I've played Pathless 3 times, and it was not great either, right? So we all have that game that we've played, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
I 6, and it's honestly I think that what stops it from being a 5, which is just a totally even, like, it's a fine game, is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is good, and they do a good enough job with the soundtrack that it's like, there are parts of it that I think they do well. It's just, it's a tech demo, and I think that there's people who probably really want a thing to have been said about this game, like, this is the message they're trying to give. I personally don't think there's a message. I think that
they had an idea of what they want to do with the game as far as tech stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we'll make it to where like you're a flower petal, you're brightening up the world, you're making it come alive, and we'll kind of put it that you're going towards the city and you're kind of healing it through there, maybe, but we're not going any further than that.
You can, for most games, you can Google and be like, "What'd the ending mean?" and find a Reddit thread of
or find a
4
director
people
talking
that liked
about
it
it
enough that I talked about it. In this one, you can't even find that, which to me just says, it is technical. It's not, the narrative is not meant to be there. So
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Preston.
I would say that as far as old PlayStation themes are considered, it is one of the best. Now, I ended up, let's just say, in the end, PlayStation themes, Firewatch is what I kind of stuck with on my theme because I thought that was the best aesthetic. But before the Firewatch came out, I had the flower theme on there nonstop because you had the nice little piano kind of going on in the background. It was just a nice little flower kind of hanging out there in the wind. It was a little animated. It was great. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's Flower. I think it's a good game. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It has its faults. It's short. It's a tech demo. It's a good game.
I don't think that its length is not its problem. I think that a game can be.
Oh yeah, no. The price reflects the length.
A game can be an hour long, and I think that as long as it tells the story that it wants to tell, or it accomplishes whatever it's trying to accomplish, I think it's totally fine.
we're just happy you said what you said, because Christian and I thought for sure we were gonna get killed when you said
10 out of 10 is the best game.
Like,
Greatest games of all
so
time.
just-
I personally, it's in one of my.
You were like,
It's in my. I have a list on GG, which is like greatest games of all time. Flower is in that. I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10, but it's for me one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, so when you said like you were like, oh, I know I've said before it's a 9, which is what I remember you saying that, and I was like, yeah. If I was gonna come out here and be like 6, and you were like 9, and I'm like 6, I was waiting for you to be like, I guess everybody just fucking hates this game.
I'm not gonna argue with anybody about their opinion on something. What your opinion is, it'll stay. I'm not gonna argue to get you off a ledge or anything like that. I'll stick with my opinion. You stick with yours. It just happens that we're pretty close on this. I thought about giving it an 8, but with recollection, with being more critical on this thing, with that shitty level, with some of the things that you guys have had to deal with, I think the motion controls work just fine. I have a lot of fun with them. I like to do the whole flippy backs and kind of do some crazy shit with it. I have a lot of fun. I think it flows very well. That is me.
I can only
That's an idea
imagine.
that I have. I haven't heard that opinion almost ever.
I can only imagine Preston getting super high. He's played this game so many times. Like, Christian's over here frustratedly, like, trying to use motion controls, can't do it. And Preston's, like, putting the thumb pad, or, like, the grip in his palm and just, like, spinning the controller around, doing, like, tricks with it.
Well, that whole end
Flowers
credit
just all over
section
the place.
where it zooms out and you can have your flower go back and forth. I was like going in and out of camera. I'm having fun with it. Like, I have a ball with that motion only on that game. I've
I
never
could
cared
not
for a motion in
exit.
any other game.
Fast enough during that scroll.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just
I love that
the
game.
thing that I don't like about the motion controls, and it's how I feel about all of them, is that even on the games that are done well, there is no one on this planet that I think is like, this would be worse with an analog stick. Like, you are allowed way more finer control. It feels better. Like, I think that it's just, all in all, it's a better experience. Like, it's like why, people then, and I know that because they don't, when they re-release a lot of these games, especially like in Nintendo's case, they always patch in the ability to play it with an analog stick later, like Metroid
But the
Prime.
whole purpose
like,
of this game is to use the 6-axis. So I think
Which is
that
why I
it
think
would
that
take
it's-
away my enjoyment of the game if I'm like sitting here with a thumbstick, fucking twiddling my thumbs.
But that's why I think that it's a glorified tech demo, is because
Sure.
it's like, if I were to put, if I say like, hey, let's get rid of the motion controls and let's let them control it with an analog stick, and everyone goes, but then you remove the point of the game, then I go, I don't think that the premise is very strong. Like, and honestly, they did take the motion part out of it, kinda, when they allowed Alex to use a mouse. Like, so when they have a mouse, and then all of a sudden he's able to go through and like, use the finer controls of what a mouse allows, and he's able to go and do these things and use it to be able to break the bounds of the world. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that, and especially then now, from Alex's point of view, he loses whatever quote unquote magic there would be of being able to be like, look at me, like that whole thing. So I will never ever. That's why I still, to this day, I have never played the original versions of Metroid Prime 2 or 3 because I simply refuse.
Haven't
I
used the
won't,
Wii
like,
mode, yeah.
until they bring it back. But my point is that they were like, when they brought it back during that Metroid Prime trilogy, they allowed people to use analog sticks during those things. And even when you see speed runs of these games, they're always using the analog sticks because it allows them to be able to do things better and have better control and where these things. Like, I just outside and God, yeah, I don't know. I hate motion controls is what I'm getting at, and I think that the 6-axis is one of the worst examples because Sony really desperately wanted it to be good. And I will say this: out of all of the good games, Flower does do it better than any of the other games that have motion controls. But that is the bar is in hell for them to cross.
That's because though it actually is one of the only games that use the motion controls for the intended purpose, right? Like, it understands what the capabilities, says you're just a leaf, you're floating on the wind. Like, it's not trying to be anything more than it should be. You're not aiming a cannon with it, right? It's so...
Yeah, dude, like, it's... And, like, I'm telling you, it's, like, those... If you go back and play some of those... And I honestly had... If you guys had a way to play Heavenly Sword, like, on the PS3, like, I would say... But, like, we could always add it to the gaming book club to see, especially, like, early character action games, I think. age poorly in some cases, but that's one of them. Is like I loved Heavenly Sword when it came out, like, but then I got to that section, and every single time I replayed that game, I was like, I hate this. Like I was like, this is not like, because there'd be so many times where the 6-axis would, you know, like you would do like you'd want it to do it, like, and especially with a cannonball situation, like you're like, go, I want you to hit these things, and it would just be like, no, and it would just shoot forward and go straight, and you're like, sick. Like, now, and again, in Flower's case, because it's the only thing that's in that game, like, it's the only thing, they're able to probably spend a lot more, like, development time making it so that the tracking and everything is a lot better in that game. But in all the other games that have put the 6-axis in it, it's dog shit.
Kind of
like, it works.
Yeah.
Like, at least, I will give the Wiimote this, at least the Wiimote, like, for the most part, does what it's supposed to do. Like, now, did I have to buy 6 add-ons and strap a bunch of shit to my wrist? Yes. But at least it did it. Whereas, like, the 6-axis, there was nothing you could do to fix the 6-axis. It was just shit, and then at least in Flower, it's tolerable, is probably the nicest thing.
Okay. Cool. Well, I will say big thanks to Preston for finding a game that was friendly for everyone on the podcast. Now the challenge is over to Christian. Yeah, it's over to Christian now to find something that...
He's like, nope.
Yeah,
No,
you're up next.
Yeah, but every game on my list needs 2 hands to play, so we'll do topics.
Yeah, but they're not the only games out there. There could be something. So
Yeah, but I don't want to... I'm not doing that, so go ahead.
We'll figure out something. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode of The Testing Room, where we were able to bring back the very first... gaming book club of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And not our strongest. So hopefully it is not telling for what the rest of the year
It's
is
a
going
fine
to be.
game.
It's not what I said was, I looked at Alex as soon as we started this episode, and I said, it's not their best work.
Hey, man, it's better than Beyond Good and Evil. They let you use thumbsticks.
Yeah, but that was last year. New year, new us.
That's
So,
also like, it's like 10 years, but yeah, it is, I guess, yeah.
So with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.